Kara and Issy, welcome to Australian Musician.
Hi, thank you for having us.
You guys were involved in the Young Gig Makers show, the first one on the Gold Coast on Saturday night. Before we talk about that, I just wanted to ask you who were the artists or the people that inspired you to get into music in the first place?
So I'm not a musician at all, but I'm really interested in, the event management side of it. And that just stemmed from loving to go to concerts and gigs, especially before COVID. My first concert was an Australian artist named Rule. And ever since then, I've just, loved being at a gig and just the vibe of everything. So that he really inspired me to, get into the organizational side of gigs, which
So as a musician and songwriter myself, I like to draw inspiration from lots of different genres and types of artists. So I've really been inspired by like 90s rock bands like Radiohead, Nirvana, just mostly from my parents. And then I've also sort of mixed that in with my own style, which is like a lot of pop. Benny, she's kind of a current one. She's from New Zealand. I really like Halsey. So a bit of like pop and a bit of rock and just lots of different influences. And yeah, they've really inspired me to get into music in the first place.
So in your own words, how would you explain what the Young Gig Makers program is?
I would say we're a group of teenagers, like young people this group is made and like is funded by the Gold Coast City Council. And they're just really interested in getting young people into producing gigs from start to finish.
Yeah, and I would also add to that and say it's given us, like as young people who are interested in the industry, possibly in the future, sort of a better insight into how like gigs are run, because it's one thing to sort of go to a gig and watch or to perform at one if you're a musician yourself, but when you actually get to be behind the scenes and see how it all comes together and all the different parts, like legally and just all these different things that come together, and it's very insightful, I guess, for us.
Yeah, so it's definitely not just for musicians. It's basically nurturing the next crop of event managers and production.
Yeah, pretty much.
Band bookers.
Yeah, so much that goes into it. Even like the promotional side and just getting the word out there, marketing, all that.
Yeah. So how did you both become involved in the first place?
So I saw the ad that Dom put out for it. Dom's the person who sort of runs it. I saw the ad he put out, and you had to write an application. Did you apply like that?
Yeah, so mine was the same. It was on social media, which is really a good place for to find young people, obviously. And I had an interest because I'm obviously really interested in music myself. And that's why.
And then you just fill out an application, and they sent you through an interview process. And then they just asked why are you interested? What would you possibly want to do in the future?
Yeah,
it's
and
things
then
like
we
that.
had a little interview with Dom and Nathan. Nathan's from the council, and so then they sort of asked us how we're interested, and they just basically gave us a little intro to the program before we started. So that was really cool as well.
Yeah.
So the concert's on Saturday night. How long have you been working on it, and how often did you meet up?
We've been working on it since early March. Early March, a couple months now, and we've been meeting up on average probably just once a week for a few hours, and every now and then we'll have maybe 2 meetings a week.
And also online, we've been online group chat.
A lot of online emailing,
contacts,
texts, just the whole thing. We're pretty much constantly in contact with each other.
Yeah. So what have been the trickiest parts of organising the gig?
I'd say just a bit of the hiccups, whether it's trouble with merch and how long that's going to take, or figuring out venues, bands, confirming them, just little hiccups that we've had and we sort of had to overcome and find solutions to, which is sort of inevitable when you're planning a gig, but we've been able to, I think, get through it, and hopefully we end up with a good product, even though despite the
it's
problems.
It's just the little bumps along the way that just happen unexpectedly with communication with each other or with bands. I think that's probably the thing that's impacted us the most in a negative way, but we've overcome it and learned from it, so it's been really cool.
Yeah. So what will happen on the night? How many bands are involved?
I think 4 bands and then 1 solo artist is performing.
Yeah.
And then so we'll get there a lot earlier, obviously. We'll do sound checks, line checks, setting up the place, everything from the food to the tech stuff to the lights, you know, all that. And then we'll have our bands perform and, you know, the crowd will come and what else? It'll just be a good
Yeah, and then
time.
we're just gonna, we're all gonna have lots of jobs to do, I think.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be really, you know, hands-on. We've all got like a role that we've been assigned, and yeah, just like a lot of involvement from us. You know, we're fully involved in the process, and we have, you know, roles to do.
Yeah, hopefully it's a good time.
Yeah.
So the Young Gig Makers program has come out of the Young Warriors band program, which came out of the Weekend Warriors program, which is for older people. Will there be any Young Warriors bands playing on Saturday night?
No, but we had a few bands audition for like our Vinnie's gig, which was a gig we did in like a month ago now, I'd say. And that was just a small scale gig just to see
like an intro,
yeah, just to like sort of a practice, I should say. And we had some of the Young Warriors bands like audition for that and like go through that process.
Yeah.
And some of them performed there, but yeah.
Yeah. So what are the aspects of Saturday night that are making you the most nervous?
Oh,
probably the ticketing.
Yeah,
and like guests, because that's something you sort of don't know. Like with the door, we could end up with a lot of sales at the door or not, and it's something you don't know till the night. So that's one of the biggest things we're sort of concerned about.
Like, yeah, and for me, like maybe because I'm like stage managing, and like it's my first time doing it, and like I'm working with actual bands, so I think it's just a bit nerve-wracking for me, but like I'll be fine. But still, it's, you know, first time for everything. Yeah.
As we mentioned earlier, the program is aided by the City of Gold Coast Music in Action plan. I remember a long time ago there wasn't a hell of a lot happening on the Gold Coast. Do you feel there's a good community music vibe on the Gold Coast now?
Definitely, yeah.
I would actually say not yet.
Not yet.
But
it's growing.
It's definitely growing. I think like obviously Brisbane is probably the epicenter for Queensland in terms of live music.
Yeah.
But on the Gold Coast, I think it's definitely growing, and we're a part of making it get bigger and better and like build more of a community for it.
I actually moved to the Gold Coast only about 1.5 years ago. From Sydney, and I've always sort of been involved in music like personally, but I have noticed like quite a lot in the Gold Coast. Like recently it's really been building up with like the dive bars like Vinnie's, and the Southport sort of area has been growing. I actually go busking a lot, so I've met a lot of buskers, and this program as well, like it's just been really great, and I really think there's a lot of room to improve, but it's a good like, you know, stepping stone.
Yeah, especially after like COVID, like everything is kind of like
it's starting up again.
Yeah,
which is really great to see. So
So what have you both personally got out of this program?
Oh my goodness, so much. Where do I even start? Just knowledge really, and experience. When I started, I didn't know how to book a gig or how to contact bands, or, you know, how you should market things, you know, all of that. And like now and like even merch, like I learned so much about how merch is produced and like the quantities for it, just every little thing like you didn't even think that would go into a gig. And you're like, wow, that like you actually have to think about that stuff. So there's so much.
I think we learned a lot about teamwork as well, and working in a group, learning how to assign roles and do it professionally, how to like solve conflict and how to sort of vote on different things. You know, there's different things that you sort of have to agree on in the group. You know, it's not just one person deciding everything. And just working as a team, making good choices that will be beneficial for us in the gig as well. So that's like a big one.
Yeah. So what do you hope to do in the future with these newly found skills?
Yeah, definitely just hopefully run more gigs, learn more about, possibly doing, you know, stage management, event management, anything that we've learned, even marketing. I really love marketing as well. And, you know, the social media side, that's like, there's just so much that goes into it. And I feel like if you're interested in any of those things, you can find that, you know, and you can gain experience.
There's so many aspects like to the industry, and
Yeah.
I'm more interested in like the stage managing, like artist liaison stuff. And I've started to, you know, book things outside of young gig makers with the help of this, you know, like I'm
Yeah.
starting to like venture out, start my career up. And it's all because of this, because like I've built the knowledge here in like a real world experience, like not just going to like uni or something, you're actually doing it.
Yeah, and it's like experience, and you
Yeah.
can confidently say, I'm going into a new endeavor and actually having experience, knowing what I've done. You know, it's not just a piece of paper, it's like actual experience and
Yeah.
hiccups and like learning stuff.
So hopefully just continue with what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the gig is on Saturday night. Tell me where it is, what time it starts, and why people should come along.
So it's at Narang, is it
Bicentennial Hall.
Yeah, and it starts at 7. Yeah, and so we're quite excited. It's a great venue. It's like a nice size and good stage, and hopefully the bands enjoy it and
Yeah,
have a good
we'll
time
have
as well.
food, drinks, merch from the bands and young gig makers, like Scream Out merch, which is what the gig's called, Scream Out. That's the name we decided.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'll be everything there, and we hope that, you know, people really enjoy it. I mean, that's the goal.
All right, Kara and Issy, good luck and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for
for
having
us.
us.